Hi there everyone, welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. Some time ago I made a video, or maybe a couple of videos, on sewing machine restoration tools, supplies, things that you would want to keep on hand. And I recently put in a new order to a place I regularly order from, or for me it's regular. And the name of that supplier is Sew Classic, sew-classic.com. It's a company based in Ohio, and they sell lots of supplies. Some of them are for people who sew, quilt, and also sewing machine supplies. Most of the new or reproduction accessories or parts that I need, I get from them. I've ordered from them for a number of years. I was doing it long before I even set up an account there, and I have found over time their prices are reasonable. They ship it out really quickly. And when you're ordering, if they are out of stock of something, their website is updated pretty regularly. And so if you're putting in an order, you don't get a surprise when your order comes and then you're missing something, it says it's back ordered. I have never had that problem there. I always know if I need something in a hurry and they don't have it, at least I know not to, I can order from Sew Classic and then order whatever I need that's urgent, which is seldom, from another place. And so I'm going to kind of go through the box here, and we'll start pulling out some of the things I've ordered. I think one of my viewers actually, who had asked me about the felting that I ordered for the felt wicks for the Singer 66s and 99s. That actually came from an Etsy supplier because it was thick and very dense felt, which you need for the wick. But these are the little felt washers. Now you can get these online a number of places. They're not exclusive to Sew Classic, but they are sold in pairs. I think I remember that right. And they're very inexpensive. I forget what they are, but they were, easily, they didn't cost very much for all of these little felt washers. And you can use them on any machine. It doesn't matter if it's a Singer or what brand. If you need a felt washer, this should fit. And I use them on a regular basis because very often the washers are missing, or maybe they're a little tattered and I want to replace those. These are replacement plastic spool pins for specifically for Singer machines. I have the 400 and the 500 Slant-O-Matic series, and this may be true of the later series of Slant Singers. They had gone from metal spool pins to plastic. And sometimes those plastic spool pins will be missing or they're broken, and these are very inexpensive. I bought 3. I didn't actually need any, but I may be working on a client's 400 series, and I'll have it if they need it. Again, it's something that I like to order extra of certain items when I know that there's not something I can go to a sewing supply store and just immediately get. In this little bag, I think that must be the product code they use, these are little barrel screws. Now, I have been fortunate that over the years of restoring sewing machines, I have very seldom had an issue with finding, let's see if these are going to show up in the light there, finding barrel screws. They are often still in the head of the machine. And if you look, you can see I have this 201 Centennial I'm going to be working on soon. And of course, these barrel screws sit behind, see if I can give you guys, I can't remember if I covered this before in another video, so forgive me if I'm being repetitive. So I'll zoom in here and give you guys a closer look. You see this, there's one of the hinge pins hanging here, and then on the other side, I've taken this one out, or maybe it fell out. But if you look right here, you'll see, of course, here's the hole where the hinge pin goes, just like the one on the right. And underneath is, and actually this machine has both of its little barrel screws. Those barrel screws, sometimes when they're loosened and people, when they go to move a machine, sometimes they won't be aware and they'll loosen them and they go missing, right? And so I'm really glad that I think I have one machine that's missing 1 or 2 of these, and I'm really glad that these are stocked, okay? And again, they're not super expensive, and they're essential because you really don't want to remove hinge pins out of a table. This machine I purchased this way. It was already I think, no, the table was damaged beyond repair and I had to take it out and the table couldn't be saved, so it didn't matter. But normally you leave the hinge in the table when you're removing the machine. In any case, if you were ever missing these, you can get them. And these work for singers over many decades. Now I have found some of the turn of the century, early 1900s, late 1800s singers, they had a more narrow barrel screw that they used. But once you get into the 1920s or so, I have found that these were the same ones used for generations. So again, nice to know that you can get them. I knew I was going to be needing some for a couple of restorations I have coming up. Okay, what else? I've still got more washers coming out of this box here. Let's get us back to so you guys can get a nice view here. So I've got washers, I've got screws, I've got spool pins. What else have we got? Okay, now I have, oh, these are feet. These are feet that you can use to put on the bottom of Singer 301s, and as well as I believe I think these also fit the Singer Featherweight. Sometimes what you will find, and I have never understood why some machines don't have this problem, but quite a few do. Sometimes you'll notice that underneath your machine there is something that looks like old chewing gum, and it's really brittle and crumbly. That is those are the remains of the original rubber feet. Rubber is not inert, and over long periods of time it dry rots just like vinyl and other plastics. And I really love the fact that you can get replacements for singers. You can get them for, again, the 301 and the Featherweight, and then they also sell different ones for the, I believe they're slightly different for the 400 and 500 series. But those are machines that, you know, you can put them on a tabletop, and having new rubber feet, they're not expensive. And, you know, I have clients who bring me machines, and they don't even know sometimes that the rubber feet are dry rotted and need to be replaced. And of course there's a screw, and I usually just save the screws from the old one. Sometimes I have to sort of chip away to get the old stuff out. And then we have new rubber feet. They're not terribly expensive. And you know, when you're restoring a machine for someone, you want to be able to do this. Now I can't always do it for every brand because I haven't found rubber feet for every brand. But again, Singers are different in that way. Let's see here. Let's just pull some more of this out. Okay, now I ordered from this supplier, these are lint brushes. Now lint brushes you can get all over the internet. Sometimes you can still get them in sewing stores, but I like these because you have soft bristles on one end, it's kind of like a little broom. And this is to clean feed dogs, and of course I use it to clean other areas because the machines I restore sometimes are dusty all over the place. I use a vacuum cleaner along with this. But this end is like an old school bottle washing brush. It's nice and stiff. They're not sharp. I've never had a problem damaging anything with them, but there are times when you really want a brush that's a little stiffer. And these are, I mean, I forget what they are, $1.50 or something a piece. They're very good quality for very little investment. And let's see, I have wrapped up to protect it. You all may have heard me say in some of my other videos that you never want to drop or damage a foot pedal. This is a generic 1.2 amp foot pedal that I get from So Classic. I've used these many times. Sometimes I use them if the old foot pedal to a sewing machine is no good. Sometimes, you know, it's amazing how long the old ones last, but I have to inspect each one because you never know if they've been dropped and the inside porcelain is cracked. Or if you have an electronic pedal, one of the early ones, the early electronic pedals, you know, after a half century, they start to die off and you need to replace them. These are very reasonable, and I actually am able to connect these to the power cords. Some of you may want someone to do that for you. So Classic has a wiring service, and it's very inexpensive. It's just a few dollars, and they will wire it up for you to whatever the cord you need, if you're getting a cord from them. Now, and then this, of course, is part of that. We've got yet more pin felt washers there. What else have I got here? Let's see. And I got belts. Now, I don't Usually when I order belts, I order quite a few, and you see a number of them here. Quite a few belts have been ordered, and I try to keep these on hand. I never know when a belt is going to be dry rotted. I would say at least 75% of machines need a new belt. The others don't always. Sometimes they get them and the belt has been replaced and it's still in good condition. I get, here you will see a reproduction rubber V belt. It's black rubber. And this is a really nice belt to use if you're going to put it on, this I believe, I'm pretty sure I ordered this for a Singer 201. Some people who collect machines like to have a belt that looks like the original. These are essentially these are reproductions of the original Singer belts. And they're V-shaped, they go right into the groove, and you get plenty of friction. Whenever I do a Singer featherweight overhaul and I need a belt, I use the Singer featherweight version of this. It looks the same, only it's larger. But for many other machines, I use these lugged belts. They're called lugged because they are still triangular shape, but they have a fiber that runs through them, and they have these little lugs, you know, and I guess you could call them teeth. They're not technically attaching to a gear because, you know, the pulley, the hand wheel on the machine and the pulley on the motor are not, they don't have gears on them, they have pulleys. But these I have found give you, sometimes, you know, if you want extra friction, there's nothing wrong with these rubber belts. These rubber belts were used for generations and they're wonderful. And again, you can see I use them sometimes, particularly for machines that people are wanting to collect or highly covet. But for just sheer friction, these lug belts work just fine. You can put these on any of the machines that take this belt. You can use the lug belts, and I have a variety of sizes. The other thing to mention is when you order replacement belts for sewing machines, it's really important that you know the dimension. If you have the old belt, you can measure it. I have found that when I go onto places online, and there's a lot of places you can order these belts, the sellers are not always clear in terms of what the size is, or they kind of sort of mention it. It might be in metric. One of the things I've noticed at So Classic is that when I go to belts, they have quite a few belts that are listed by the machine. So everything from almost all of the vintage Singers are listed, and some of the other brands. And if not, they have the measurements listed in inches. And so I have just found ordering belts to be simpler from So Classic. Now I have ordered some from maybe one of the eBay sellers, but a lot of the eBay sellers are from overseas and they don't always describe things in ways that make it easy to order. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with their products. A lot of these belts, of course, are made overseas and carried by multiple suppliers. But in terms of ease of ordering, this is definitely, I find that I can order them at the So Classic website. I should mention a couple other websites as well. Central Michigan Sewing, which also has an eBay presence. I have found them very useful for ordering occasionally new stuff, but mostly vintage parts. They have a lot of old original reproduction parts, and that can be a great place to order stuff from. And I've ordered from a place on eBay called Sharp Sewing, and they are out of California. Sharp Sewing is mostly useful when I want to get Oregon brand needles, because that's one of the few suppliers. And if I don't have an Oregon brand, there's nothing wrong with Schmetz or even Singer brand needles. But the titanium needles, I've only seen those made by Oregon, and I really like those, and they're not expensive, so I'll get those. So I have a variety of suppliers, but I would say the source that I order the most from, just because of ease of ordering, and I've just had really good experience, is again So Classic, but Central Michigan, and there are a few places on eBay also. Now I've got two light bulbs. I needed some new, these are called bayonet style light bulbs, by the way, and they they attach to a large number of sewing machines, both Singer and other brands as well. And I believe I was looking to order some of the original style, and I think So Classic may not have had the one I wanted, and so they did have an LED version. And this is, what you're looking at is an LED version of a light bulb that is compatible with many of the vintage Singers, not all of them, but quite a few. And of course, LEDs give you more light per watt, and they don't get as hot or warm. So there you go, guys. That's just a good sampling of things I just got in on one of my orders. I got 2 of these bulbs, and here again, you know, it's one of those things where you have to decide. I think this is this is the invoice I have from So Classic. Virtually any supplier I ever order from has, you know, there's an invoice showing what they put in your order. Okay, and you can see here, there was one item I ordered that was not in stock. What was it? One of the belts, okay? And it's possible that maybe I tried to order something that was out of stock. I think I ordered 2 of those, but at least I know, you know, now I know which ones I'm still short on, and I'll have to go back and see. You sometimes can get these belts, by the way, at a local sewing vacuum store, but they don't carry a large variety of sizes because the demand is just simply not, I don't think it's that much. You know, they're going to sit on that inventory for a while. I think maybe it's just easier for, you know, internet sellers to stock items like this. So there you go. That's just a sampling, an example of one of the ways that, one of the orders I place. And again, I have other, I need to put somewhere on my web channel, on my YouTube channel, all these different places. That should be a project of mine to do that. So you can maybe find the links there. I'm not sponsored by any of these folks, but people often say, well, where can I get stuff? You know, because it's very hard to find it in a retail store. But anyway, there might be orders in the future where I'll have different things I'm ordering, but I like to have multiples because I typically see similar machines with similar diameter belts, and it's really nice not to slow down. If I have a client's machine and they're waiting, then I need a belt. So having, you know, I don't have thousands of these belts on hand, but having a good, decent handful, I try to sort of project out in the future how many 201s am I going to need belts for, and so forth. And that's really useful. You have it on hand. And again, you know, let's see, what was my total here? I think I spent, I think everything here with tax, with shipping, came to like $107 with shipping. But remember, I've got a lot of stuff here, and the the foot pedal takes up part of that. So I consider this a really good value, even with the shipping costs. And but anyway, if any of you have places that you get stuff, feel free to share. And like I said, I'll try to make a mental note to create links on my channel so you guys can, you know, kind of go there and see these different places. You don't have to shop here. There are other places, but this is just, over the years, I've had places that I've been going back to. And so whether it's Central Michigan or So Classic or even Sharp Sewing, places I keep going back to again and again because they've been really consistent with, the prices are reasonable. I can typically rely on their service. So, and they answer you if you're waiting on something, you have a question. So I think I'll put this under the resources and tools series of my videos. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned. I should have another Singer 201 to debut for you guys. No secret that I love Singer 201s, and I attempt to find them and rescue them and restore them anytime that I can. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video.